Hey, welcome to the Plant Your Life podcast. I am your host, Corey the speaker, and wherever you are today, I hope that this message finds you well. I look forward to sharing today with you on this very first episode of Plant Your Life podcast. And my topic today in this episode is it's up to you. Yes, that's right. No one else in your life is to blame for anything except you. Okay? And what I mean is not if someone walk up to you and shoot you or whatever for no apparent reason. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is how you react in your life, how you respond in your life, what you believe for in your life. That's what I mean. All of life can be summed up in Matthew 9:29. Then Jesus touched their eyes and said, "Let it happen then, just as you believe." And that is from the Good News translation version of the Bible. This is a very key law that we can use. If we look at the word believe in that verse, it simply means to be persuaded. And when you are persuaded of something, you are totally convinced or induced to believe something. So if it's according to your faith, that means the persuasion is coming from your own self. So what have you convinced yourself to believe? What have you convinced yourself to honor and go along with? This is what Matthew 9:29 is explaining. And Jesus, he's telling these blind men, hey, you are only going to get what you believe for. Okay? So if you believe that I can heal you, that I can open your blind eyes, then it'll happen. I guarantee you, if either one of those blind men would have said, no, I don't believe you can open my eyes, guess what? It would not have opened. So we have the one through whom the whole world was created. He's saying, hey, I can't do nothing for you unless you believe for it. Okay? This is so key for your life. What are you going to believe for? All right. Now, to be fully persuaded, you must go through a change of mind. When it comes to the mind, the details you plant in your mind is what matters the most. What are you planting? What are you putting in your mind? This is why the name of this podcast is called the Plant Your Life podcast. Because I want to make you aware of what you put into your mind. You think of yourself as a garden. Think of yourself as, a vegetation garden. If you plant corn is going to come up. If you plant tomatoes is going to come up. The same thing works for us in our heart and our mind. If we plant hatred, we will reap hatred. If you plant love, you will reap love. If you plant all these men, they're nothing. All these women, they're nothing. That's what you will perpetually see in your life. It is time to change your very image of yourself. When it comes to the mind, the details you plant in your mind is what matters the most. Sometimes persuasion takes time. It's just like if you plant a watermelon seed. You won't have watermelons the next day. If you plant on Monday, you will not have watermelons on Tuesday. And if you do, don't eat those watermelons. They're not good for you, okay? So success takes time. Planting and creating a new paradigm for yourself takes time. And this story from Matthew, the blind men had to persuade themselves that they had the ability to see. So you mean to tell me they had to persuade themselves before they could physically see that they could physically see? That is exactly what I am saying. And this is how manifestation will work in your life. You take the most impossible situation and you say, you know what? I'm going to see this the way that God sees it. How does Jesus see me in this situation? How does God, divine love, that I love to call God divine love because he is love. So divine love is not going to see you ill. It's not going to see you sick. He's not going to see you, hurt, abused, none of that. So we must learn to see in the positive. Okay. If they would have said, no, I don't think you can heal me, they would not have been healed. When it says he touched them, a breakdown of that word in the Greek, it means to attach one's self to. So the transformation or healing or not only takes place when you're persuaded. The other side of the equation is the attachment to your higher self, your higher calling, the greater version of yourself. So this is very, very powerful. You want to become attached to the greater version of yourself. If you are an athlete, for an example, and you want to go from lifting 125 pounds on the bench to your greatest self of lifting 275, how are you going to achieve that? Well, the first thing you have to do is, again, get it into your mind, get it into your heart, get it into your subconscious mind that, hey, I can do this. And once you see yourself internally doing it, you will be able to do that on the outside that you have envisioned on the inside. Now, here's the thing. You're not going to go from 125 to 275 the next day. It takes training. It takes time. A lot of times we try to abrupt the process. We try to overthrow the process of greatness, but you can't do that. A lot of things are not going to happen overnight for a lot of people because you have to become the better person. You have to become the greater person. If you want to have hypothetically speaking, if you want to be able to carry a 5-gallon worth of containment inside of you, you have to get rid of the 8-ounce cup. 5 gallons of liquid cannot fit in in a cup. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So you yourself have to increase to become the better person. Okay. Now I want to read this last point again. When it says he touched them, a breakdown of that word in the Greek means to attach oneself to. So what it's saying is that Jesus, this perfect man, attached himself to the blind people. So my thing is, Jesus can't be blind. So Jesus said, I can see perfectly. I'm going to attach myself to them, which is a higher consciousness. Everything in the world is a state of consciousness. Okay. This is why the Bible says we have no conscience of sin. We no longer have a consciousness of sin. Because sin is anything that is outside of your divine inheritance. Okay? Anything outside of your divine inheritance. So your divine inheritance is not sin, sickness, and disease. So that is outside of your inheritance. Okay? So Jesus attaches himself to the blind man. And because the blind man believed the attachment, it happened for him. Your belief is everything. I will say this for the life of this whole podcast. If I had this podcast 20 years, I would say this. Life is according to how you believe and how you perceive things. How you think that it will be, it will be. And no one can change your perception for you. Your perception has to be changed by you. People can come along and coach you and tell you what to do. People can come along and give you tips here and there, pray for you and all that. But if you don't believe it, it'll never ever happen. Okay? Christ is in you. And you need the attachment, the fastening, the oneness. A lot of us are missing the point that we are one with God. We are one with Christ. We are one with divine love. Christ in us is the hope of the glory. Christ in us is the hope. Okay? So when you shift yourself to realizing oneness in God, you will begin to walk in the world with that God mentality. This is why God told Moses, hey, I'll make you God before Pharaoh, and I'll make your brother Aaron the prophet before Pharaoh. So you mean to tell me this great enemy that I stand before, I could be a God to this enemy? And nobody can tell God no. Nobody can come against God. So your circumstances, you should be able to stand up to them and say, hey, I am God before you. Move out of my way. This is why Jesus said you could say to a mountain, be removed and cast into a sea. If you don't doubt in your heart. Okay. And even there in that verse, this Mark 11, you read the whole thing. Mark 11:22 through 24. Okay. He said, if you don't doubt in your heart. The word there is cardia. It means in your thoughts and in your feelings. A lot of us are losing because we say the right words, but our thoughts don't align with those words. Neither do our emotions and our feelings. This is why we're not succeeding. This is why we're not moving mountains, because we don't totally believe. When you really believe something, your thoughts are going to align with it. Your emotions in the inside are going to align with it, and your actions are going to align with it. If you say, you know what, I'm going to win a gold medal for running the 400 or whatever. I don't know much about track and field. However, you'll get my point. If you say, you know what, I'm going to win a gold medal, and you never get out there and run, you don't believe what you're saying. You're just talking. There has to be an alignment, okay? There has to be an alignment between your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. When those three align, bingo, you are hitting the jackpot in your life, okay? And one thing I would admonish you to do is to cut out distractions. Stop being distracted by everything in your life that's not a part of your purpose, okay? It is impossible to be separated from Christ. It's impossible to be separated from God once you realize this oneness, okay? It's like if you take a glass of water and put a drop of food coloring in it or some dye. Stir it up. Once that water is stirred and mixed with that dye, it becomes impossible to separate the two. This is you in divine love. It's impossible to separate the two of you. So start seeing yourself in that light. Start seeing yourself in that consciousness. I promise you, it'll change your life, and everything that comes before you, you will be able to prophesy to your own situation. You will be able to speak a life over your own self. You don't always have to go run. Hey, can you pray for me? Can you pray for me? Can you pray for me? No. Align yourself with truth, and that truth will take care of everything else in your life. Am I against asking people to pray for you? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, once you elevate yourself in your thought life, once you elevate yourself in your thinking, life becomes a whole lot more easy. And I like what one of my favorite teachers, Mike Popovich, say. There are no emergencies in the kingdom. Having anxiety is not kingdom minded. Having anxiety and fear and all that's not a part of your divine inheritance. I promise you, you are going to win. You are going to succeed in every single thing that you do in your life. You must believe it. All that Christ is, you are. Can Christ be blind? No. Can Christ be sick? Absolutely not. Can Christ be stricken in poverty? No. Neither can you. It just takes persuasion. What are you fully persuaded of? And one thing I would admonish you to do is to be mindful of what you allow into your heart. Be mindful of what you think about. Be mindful of what you watch on TV. Be mindful of the books you read, the thoughts that you think. Be even mindful of the people that you conversate with, because everyone is not going to impart into you on this level. And what I mean on this level is, I mean with what you desire. I promise you, if you just for a week or even 3 days, start filtering and monitoring what you watch. Monitor what you look at on Instagram and Facebook. Monitor all of that and start focusing on wealth. Start focusing on prosperity and watch what happens. See, if you go to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and whatever the first thing you see in the For You page or news feed, that's your algorithm. So if you take this particular concept and you look at your own life, what you're seeing on the outside, that is your algorithm. Again, you must change in order to see change. This is why people that win the lottery, they may win $1 million, 10 million, 20, 30, 40, 50 million. You come back a year later, 5 years later, all the money is gone. It's because they were blessed without changing their capacity. They were blessed without changing their container. So in essence, that was the 8-ounce glass trying to take in a 5-gallon bucket. It'll never happen. It would never ever happen. This is why the rich get rich and the poor get poor. You must change inside of you. I hope that this podcast has helped you. I hope that this short talk has helped put a fire under you to monitor what you put inside of yourself. You can succeed in every single thing, and there is nothing that is impossible for you. What's going to be the difference is if you believe or not. We are all bound by our beliefs. Okay? And the divine is not going to pour into you until you start actually searching and looking. This is why he's a rewarder of those that diligently seek. You just sitting around waiting for something to happen, it'll never happen. Again, this is the Plant Your Life podcast, and I am Corey, the speaker. Take care until next time.